Before we get going, guys, I had a sound mess up on this one. Some of the audio is pretty low quality. Sorry about that, won't happen in the next video. So, Twitter's rolled out a very interesting feature recently, and I want to talk about it, because oh boy, this one rustled everyone's jimmies. 1 month ago, Twitter announced the following. You should be able to verify the authenticity of accounts. As a part of that, we're experimenting with displaying new information on profiles, including which country an account is based, among other details. And a whole bunch of people began to shit bricks. There's been rumors for years that a lot of the big aggregator accounts, especially in the political space, aren't actually run from the places they claim to be. But gradually, this announcement faded into the background of the news cycle. This tweet was dropped in mid-October, and quickly enough, it was replaced with the next big thing, such as the internet. For a little while there, people even began to forget it was coming down the pipe at all. Then suddenly, on November 21st, the feature was active, for everyone, for about an hour, and then it quickly vanished again. But it turns out, an hour was all that was needed to light the entire fucking site on fire. Guess what? A ton of those right-wing MAGA accounts that are constantly posting viral clickbait about woke, liberal, leftist, communist Democrats or whatever the fuck? Yeah, most of them aren't operating from the States. In fact, they're not even operating in Western English-speaking countries at all. You know, the places that we would expect organic discourse on these topics. Let's look at some of the people who had their hands caught in the cookie jar. I'd like to credit Nick Monroe, otherwise known as Lobster Looker on Twitter, for a lot of this stuff. He didn't provide all of them, but he did make a big thread cataloging everything, so go give him a follow. Right off the bat, it turns out that Doge Designer is actually based out of India. Doge Designer being an account with 1.7 million followers that basically just simps for Elon Musk. This account here, Commentary Tom Homan, or Homan News, is basically just an account dedicated to reporting on Tom Homan. You know, the Trump immigration guy. This account claims to be based out of Virginia, USA, but it's actually reporting from Eastern Europe, not in the EU. So what does that mean? Russia, Ukraine, Belarus? That's pretty much it. Oh, MAGA World, that's from the vague East Asia and Pacific. Okay. MAGA Nation, once again, non-EU Eastern Europe. This Caroline Levitt fan aggregator account is from Hong Kong. This Ivanka Trump account claims to be from Florida. I don't know if this person is intending to be Ivanka Trump, or is just an Ivanka News account based out of Florida, but they're from Nigeria.
Uh-oh.
MAGA Nadine, the female bodybuilder, from New York City, is actually from Morocco. And by the way, probably also isn't a female bodybuilder. Sorry, guys. Izana Speaks, the proud American standing for freedom, strength, and the USA first. I've actually seen this account around here and there. One of those tradwife LARPers. But it's actually from Pakistan. Connected via the United Arab Emirates App Store. Dude. Oh yeah, this one's especially funny. The webcomic America Man, which does a bunch of pro-Trump stuff, is actually from Indonesia. Oh yeah, the Mel Gibson QAnon account. I remember this one. It's based in Nigeria. Here's one of those reactionary LARPer accounts that uses a picture of an old European philosopher. It's from India, though. Oh my god, look at this one. 650,000 followers. Emma Brunette, relationship coach, American patriot, MAGA, West Asia. It's all fake, guys. It's all fucking fake. Oh, I've seen this one a lot. I even commented into their stuff sometimes. MAGA Storm. This is an account that specifically posts news stories of the day with an extreme pro-Trump bias, oftentimes just making shit up. And they're also from Eastern Europe, non-EU.
Liar!
Same with this one, the Trump Army, South Asia, and Megascope too. That one's from Nigeria. Oh, here's a Barron Trump fan account giving you all the latest Barron Trump news, even though they also claim to be Trump's son and that they're at Mar-a-Lago. 583,000 followers on this one. And look, they're from the non-EU Eastern Europe region. Of course they are. It's all fucking Russian bots, unironically. Look at this guy honoring all who served. Veterans Day. Trump, pro-Trump, Team Trump. He's from Nigeria. Here's a Nick Fuentes fan account. Also from Nigeria. How many Nigerian fans does Nick Fuentes really have? Come on. The Gavin Newsom Groiper is in Nicaragua. Oh, here's the Red Pillar account, the Man Maker. He's from South Asia. MAGA 47 Amara. I'm a Trump-supporting MAGA girl. From Thailand. MAGA Warrior posting about American news, all the way from South Asia. Is anyone on this fucking app real? Joe Rogan fan account. This is America. On the literal other side of the planet from Joe Rogan. Check out this one, guys. MAGA, Patriot Warriors, reject woke ideology. Once again, from Nigeria. Oh my god, this one's not a fan account. This is the real Jackson Hinkle. For those of you who don't know, Jackson Hinkle is simultaneously extremely far left and far right. He's just anti-liberal no matter which way that goes. He unironically believes that Russia is the good guys, that the West is degenerate and subverted by liberalism, while it will be based Christian Russia coming in to topple the liberal world order, all that shit. This is his actual account. He's claimed for years to be based out of Miami, Florida, but he's actually posting from Burkina Faso. Like, this is actually a real dude. He's made public appearances and shit. What are you doing, man? Charlie's Voice Rising. Another MAGA aggregator. Voice for Charlie Kirk. Truth, faith, freedom. Fighting censorship and lies. For the people, for God, for America. 200,000 followers. Oh, is that where Charlie Kirk's ghost went? Is he haunting Eastern Europe now or something? Make her wet. Learn how to make her submit to you. Improve your game. Seduction and attract feminine women. This ain't your average red pill account. You're right, 'cause it's based out of India, and we all already know about bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna! Oh my god, Anne-Marie Strawhand. That's a very Nigerian name you got going on there. Patriot is about giving back to those who bled for our freedom. 100% of collected fees donated to veterans. Veterans where in Hong Kong? Jay Thrives, the Trump freak, talking about the 2026 red wave. Doing so, once again, from Nigeria. Breaking news from this 200,000 follower account. God bless America and Trump. No, they are not based out of Florida. They're based out of South Asia. This one gets around a lot too. Dark MAGA coin, so much for being a hacker. The entirety of this project is American, and every post was authored by Americans. Watch your step. Dark MAGA patriots are in control. In control from Thailand. This MAGA girl, who's a proud patriot, who's here for truth, freedom, and a better future, is actually here from Cambodia. Mary Tiles, Texas, a MAGA influencer, turns out is just straight up from Russia. And she quickly added a VPN to her account in order to hide the fact, but we all saw it. Severus Chud. This account kinda role plays as Severus Snape from Harry Potter, but as like a right-wing Chud version of it. You know, being racist and sexist and homophobic and transphobic, posting memes. They're from Pakistan. Oh my god. This has to be one of the funniest things to ever happen on Twitter. It's pretty undeniable at this point that not all of, obviously, but a measurable chunk of the online hype behind Trump and MAGA actually is just a foreign psyop. Like, I'm sorry, little gup, but Trump is not actually your president. Just to be clear, it's not only MAGA accounts or white nationalist accounts or other types of right-wing accounts that were caught in Elon's location dragnet. We do have the occasional left-wing bot, it's not all right-wing ones. Proud Democrat, professional MAGA hunter, I have TDS. Based in New Jersey, actually based in Kenya. Holy shit, guys. Is this Obama's alt? Of course, some of these actually made sense. For example, this Japanese ethot account is actually based in Brazil. I don't know who this person is, or if they're actually Japanese or not. Lots of people are making the claim she's faking. She might be, but considering that Brazil has the largest population of Japanese people outside of Japan, it's not like it's impossible she's telling the truth here. Meanwhile, an account that claimed to be a Muslim girl living in Kashmir, India, turned out to actually be from Bangladesh. Considering the history between India and Bangladesh, and between Hindus and Muslims, I'm not surprised in the slightest if some of these end up being psyop accounts meant to look the other side look bad. In a similar vein, an account based in Hong Kong that spreads pro-Chinese, anti-West propaganda also claims to be run by an English person. Now, this isn't impossible. I'm sure some English people stayed behind in Hong Kong after the handover, but even if this is true, it just makes you a Chi-Com cuck. And of course, sometimes there is actually a good reason for the discrepancy. Recall that video I did on the Fell for It Again award? You know, where Trumpsters kept taking L's, and the internet kept memeing them for it? Well, there's one big account that reposts events like these regularly, and it was discovered to be posting from the United Kingdom. Some people were acting like this revelation entirely disqualifies anything they have to say, mostly just coping right-wing retards. But no, this is still within the Anglosphere, within the West. Americans comment on non-American politics all the time. Radioids in the States talk about Trudeau, Canada's immigration problems, about the EU and the UK and their issues with migrants. It's not automatically AstroTurf if it comes from a foreign country, especially ones with shared languages. In much the same vein, people acted like the Republicans Against Trump account was exposed for being from Austria, when its owner has always been open and honest about being an American citizen living overseas. Probably the worst of the bunch are official government accounts or military accounts. For example, an account that posted military propaganda for Russia ended up being from India. An account that posted military propaganda for Iran ended up being from Canada. I swear it's not me, guys. A counter APAC account ended up being from Egypt. No surprise there. A pro-Israel account ended up being from India once again. And possibly the funniest and maybe the most concerning is that the official American Department of Homeland Security account, the actual real government account, ended up being from Israel. Holy shit, you guys are not beating the Zog allegations anytime soon. It's also important to point out that some of the accounts that people commonly suspected of being foreign bots actually just weren't. For example, Dissident West and Trad West are in fact based in Western countries, at least at first glance. But there's an additional feature we gotta talk about. Sometimes an account has this shield symbol beside the location. Upon further inspection, it's revealed the shield means that Twitter thinks this user might be using a VPN to mask their true location, especially if the given location is a vague generalized place like North America. Another hint is if the account was created in one country but currently resides in another behind a VPN. Additionally, the circle with an exclamation mark shows that a person used to use this account from one country and now lives in a different one. Or the account just started using a VPN and Twitter can't detect it. Which, by the way, makes accounts like CatTurd or Leftism for You make a lot more sense now. These dudes always came off as third world ASTROTURFed psyop bullshit. This has all led to a new phenomenon of, whenever one of these aggregator accounts posts American culture war slop, people are in their replies dropping screenshots of their actual location, as a way to basically say, fuck you, we don't want you interfering in our politics anymore. Like, how the fuck is the Turkish account 1776 general out here posting America only? Suddenly, the old hypothesis of a lot of right-wing nonsense on social media being fake actually holds a lot more weight. And of course there are the memes, why wouldn't there be? Like the guy who said, it's nice to finally prove I'm not Indian, showing his account labeling him as from America, but his Twitter app is in the Indian language. This guy's redeemed in more ways than one. Or how about the dude who started his account in the Netherlands, but purposely turned on a VPN to appear like he's from Russia? Oh my god, that's gonna be the next psyop, isn't it? All those bot farms in India or wherever, they're gonna start using VPNs to appear from Russia as a cover for being a Russian-hired bot farm. Yes, although Twitter has now descended into a bunch of Americans declaring that other Americans are actually bots, lots of people had a good old laugh at the unfolding shitshow, as meltdowns and paranoia became more common. For the hour the feature was active, it truly was a lot of fun. Of course, there is a real conversation here too. Foreign enemy nations flooding the internet with anti-West propaganda meant to demoralize the populations of democracies, subverting them from within. That is a real problem. I'm reminded of an event from a few months ago, back when the big civil war within MAGA was the H1B tech bros versus the America First nationalists. Suddenly, a bunch of right-wing accounts began to post pro-India messages, saying that to be pro-India is to be pro-MAGA, as China is their common enemy, while to be anti-India is to backstab Trump. All the while Trump was going back and forth on oil tariffs in India. Now, of course, Trump goes back and forth on every single fucking tariff because he's an orangutan. But rank-and-file people on the right absolutely noticed there was suddenly a bunch of pro-India solidarity all at once, coming from some pretty big right-wing talking heads, especially since a lot of them literally copy-pasted this specific message. The fake news is trying to paint India as an enemy. Why? Because they have always loved and worked with Trump. Don't buy into their swamp tactics. If we make them an enemy, they will fall into the hands of the CCP. Yes, this exact message was reposted over and over and over again. Actually, this one's probably the funniest. Respect Elves is a largely apolitical account. They're pretty clearly right-leaning based on the jokes they make, which is fine, but this guy does not commonly talk about real politics. And he all but admits he took a paycheck in the comments. Fuck it. If they're letting you just immediately contradict it, who cares? Get the bag, bro. Or how about that time the undersea internet cable to India in the Middle East was cut? Recall that shit? Some people thought it was the Houthis, or Russia, or China, or whoever. Others thought maybe a shark chewed through it, since that does happen sometimes. But the point is, for around a day, the Middle Eastern and Indian presence on the Western internet was drastically reduced. And once again, the rank-and-file right-wingers began to notice that a bunch of the large right-wing aggregator accounts suddenly vanished. Forget about Secret Hitler. These guys were playing Secret Indian. These previous seemingly unrelated events are popping up in my mind because they are all little bits of evidence pointing in one direction. We already know the Russian government outsources its bot farm operations to the Middle East, or India, or Nigeria. We also already know that when one large right-wing slop account makes a post, the others repost it within seconds. It's not definitively proven, and it would be pretty hard to do so, but I think it's a reasonable assumption that a good chunk of the big right-wing aggregators online are actually just being run by some third worlder sitting in front of like 100 phones, getting paid by America's adversaries to beam propaganda directly into your brain. Of course, a lot of the right doesn't want to admit that a good chunk of the public support for their positions online is actually just AstroTurfed propaganda from foreign anti-American powers. But nonetheless, this is something that they know very well, because they used to talk about it. And when they did talk about it, they were completely correct. This is Yuri Bezmenov, a former spy for the Soviet Union, who defected to the West. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you already know about this guy. Let's go over it again. He gave to the West details of the Soviet Union's Active Measures program. Active Measures was designed to specifically use the West's freedoms to undermine it, by sowing discord and false information among the citizens of NATO countries. According to Bezmenov, this process had 4 stages. The first stage, demoralization, was a long-running propaganda campaign in the West by Soviet agents to make common American people, or Canadian or European, whatever, hate their own countries, to demoralize them, to make them lose faith in their own institutions and values. The second stage, destabilization, comes after enough people no longer identify with their own society. The various social bonds that hold things together beyond the naked force of the law come undone, and only violence without pretense keeps society together. The third stage, crisis, is the political decline, the erosion of the state as the people bristle under the government's attempts to keep the old status quo together. And the fourth stage, normalization, is when a new order with new values comes into being, which the people believe in and unite around, sweeping the old order away. The Soviet Union used active measures to great effect across the world, helping instigate communist uprisings in multiple countries, and they also attempted to use it in the West as well. They found useful idiots in American academia and journalism throughout the 1960s and 70s, people who genuinely believed in the socialist project and thought that what the Soviets were doing was ushering in the next phase of human development. Once again, we are back at Antonio Gramsci, the Italian Communist Party leader who heavily influenced Western leftist academic thought. And surely by now, you've watched both of my videos going over his ideas, right? This is pretty well-trodden ground for us here. Pretty much every right-wing YouTuber or streamer or whatever knows about Yuri Bezmenov and the Active Measures program. They know what the Soviets tried to do to the West, and it's why they correctly view the socialists of today as the subversive scumbags they are. But either the right-wingers are too stupid, too delusional, or too dishonest to recognize that just because the Soviet Union fell doesn't mean that active measures stopped. Russia, under Putin, continues the Active Measures program to this day. They continue to subvert the West using demoralizing propaganda. Now, to be fair, this time around, their goal isn't to incite a communist revolution. The Russians don't give a shit about that. The Russians want America subverted, weakened, turned inward, so that America won't oppose Russian expansionism. And that's where all the right-wing bots come in. All of these influencers who are broadcasting from some third world shithole. They're all MAGA influencers, but they're also extremely anti-American. Yes, I know that MAGA stands for Make America Great Again, but that argument is just as stupid now as when I last heard it, back when Antifa was saying they were just anti-fascist. We all know by now that various movements adopt aesthetics that don't match their meaning, and MAGA is no different. So what is the MAGA message pushed from these accounts? It's certainly not pro-America. It's the message that America sucks. The American empire is evil, the West is in decline. The American values of liberal capitalist democracy are destroying the world. All America does is waste money and kill people whenever it goes overseas. Therefore, America should isolate itself from others, turn its back on its allies, cede all territory to Russia and China. It's no coincidence that a good chunk of the MAGA agenda serves Russian and Chinese interests. All of that "the West has fallen" nonsense, that's the demoralization. The crisis is stuff like January 6th, where people were subverted and psyoped enough into believing that the election was stolen from them. And the new order that is being normalized is the Trump order, and it seeks to replace Americanism with this soft, cucked version of itself that will basically allow the Russians and the Chinese to do whatever they want. The Trump movement serves the interest of America's enemies by convincing average Americans that the way forward is abandoning their allies in the world. Of course, the MAGA reply to this is to laugh and say, LOL, he thinks the Russian ops are real, because the very idea of Russian ops has been discredited by stuff like the PIS dossier. At the same time, though, if you were the Russians pulling off the Active Measures program on American citizens, isn't that exactly what you would do? Point at some obviously fake bullshit to make the idea that you could possibly be subverting the United States laughable? Turn the idea of your subversion into a meme, even as you continue to subvert. Make the subverted idiots laugh at the possibility that they could ever be fooled, even as you fool them. Yes, the PIS dossier was fucking bullshit, we all know that, but there's a reason that rightoids fall back on it and ignore all of the actual credible allegations of Russian involvement. This is why I think this Twitter nonsense is actually pretty important, despite the obvious laughs. To anybody who says, LOL, you still think Russia? Yes, Russia is the enemy of the West. They seek to undermine the freedoms that the liberal, capitalist, democratic world enjoys. They are not some based, trad, Christian nationalist country that has come to save the West from its own degeneracy, or whatever these fucking retarded LARPers think. And the same goes for China. They're an enemy of the West too. It is actually incredible to me that so many Americans got psyoped into hating their own country and its values, all the while wearing a MAGA hat, simply because a bunch of third worlders got handed a stack of Russian money to post on Twitter about how the West has fallen because immigrants are now shopping at Costco and boobs are smaller in video games. At this point, if you're still on the Trump train, you're either ignorant, retarded, or a traitor.